She found the text message at 11:47 p.m., 3 weeks before her wedding. I can't stop thinking about last night. When are you going to tell her? I hate sneaking around like this. The sender? Her maid of honor. Her best friend since the 7th grade. The woman she'd trusted with every secret, every fear, every dream she'd ever had. Her name was Melissa, and in exactly 21 days, she was supposed to stand beside her at the altar and watch her marry the love of her life. But here's the thing they never tell you about betrayal. It doesn't just break your heart. It reshapes you. It burns away the person you used to be and leaves something else in the ashes. Something harder, something colder, something dangerous. My name is Olivia Chen. I was supposed to become Mrs. Olivia Matthews on June 15th. I had the dress, the venue, the 300-person guest list, and a future that sparkled like the 2-carat diamond on my finger. But instead of walking down that aisle, I chose a different path. I chose revenge. And not the messy kind, not the screaming, the crying, the public humiliation that would make me look like the crazy ex-fiancé. No. I chose the kind of revenge that takes patience, the kind that requires you to smile when you want to scream, the kind that destroys someone's entire world while they're still believing you're their biggest victim. This is the story of how I lost everything and then took it all back with interest. But I need to warn you, by the end of this story, you might not know who to root for anymore. Because revenge has a funny way of consuming you. And love? Love has an even funnier way of showing up when you least expect it. Let me take you back to the beginning. Back to the night my whole world shattered into a million pieces on my bathroom floor. 3 weeks before the wedding, everything was perfect. At least, that's what I kept telling myself. I was lying in bed that night, watching some mindless reality TV while Daniel showered in the bathroom. We'd just had dinner with his parents, the last one before the wedding, and my cheeks still ached from smiling so much. His mother, Patricia, had talked for 2 hours about the seating arrangements. His father had made the same joke about the old ball and chain approximately 7 times. And Daniel? Daniel had been distracted the whole night, checking his phone under the table when he thought no one was looking. But I noticed. I always noticed. When his phone buzzed on the nightstand, I didn't think anything of it. I reached over to hand it to him like I'd done 1,000 times before. We didn't have secrets, or so I thought. I knew his passcode, he knew mine. That's what trust looks like, right? But the screen lit up before I could look away, and there it was, Melissa's name. And those words that would echo in my mind for months to come. I can't stop thinking about last night. When are you going to tell her? I hate sneaking around like this. The bathroom door was still closed. The shower was still running, and I was frozen, staring at those 23 words that had just detonated a bomb in the center of my life. My first instinct was denial. Classic textbook denial. There had to be an explanation. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe I was reading it wrong. Maybe last night meant something innocent, and sneaking around was about a surprise party for me. My hands were shaking as I unlocked his phone, something I'd done hundreds of times, never once feeling guilty. But this time, it felt like I was committing a crime, like I was the one doing something wrong. I went to his messages, and there it was, months of it, months. The first message was from February. It was now late May. "I feel so guilty," Melissa had written back then. But when I'm with you, I forget everything else." "Don't feel guilty," Daniel had replied. "We can't help how we feel. Olivia and I, it's complicated. It's been dying for a long time. I just don't know how to tell her." Dying. He'd said our relationship was dying in February. In February, we'd gone to Hawaii for Valentine's Day. In February, he'd told me I was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen as we watched the sunset over Maui. In February, I'd believed every single word. I kept scrolling, my vision blurring with tears I refused to let fall. There were photos of them together, of her in lingerie I'd never seen before, of him looking at her the way he used to look at me. There were plans, secret hotel rooms downtown, lunch meetings that were never really about work. That guy's weekend in Vegas, Melissa had been there too, my maid of honor, in Vegas, with my fiancé. The shower stopped. I heard the bathroom door open, and in that moment, I made a choice that would change everything. I put the phone back on the nightstand. I fixed my expression into something neutral, tired maybe, but nothing alarming. I pretended to be half asleep. "Hey, babe," Daniel said, climbing into bed beside me. He smelled like his expensive body wash, the one I'd bought him for Christmas. "You okay? You're quiet." "Just tired," I heard myself say. My voice sounded strange to my own ears, hollow, distant. "Your mom really wore me out tonight," he laughed, that warm, familiar laugh that used to make my heart flutter. Now it made my stomach turn. "She means well," he said, leaning over to kiss my forehead. 3 more weeks and it'll all be over. We'll be on that beach in Bali, just the two of us." Just the two of us. I wondered if he'd text Melissa from Bali. I wondered if he'd sneak away to call her while I was sleeping. I wondered how long he'd been looking at me and seeing someone else. "Yeah," I whispered. 3 more weeks. He fell asleep within minutes, just like that, like he didn't have a single guilty thought in his head, like he hadn't spent months betraying me with the woman I loved like a sister. But I lay there for hours, staring at the ceiling, feeling the cold weight of that engagement ring on my finger. I didn't cry, not yet, because somewhere between the 3rd and 4th hour of lying in the dark, something shifted inside me. The shock began to fade, and something else took its place. It started as a question. Why should I be the one whose world falls apart? They'd done this to me, both of them. They'd lied to my face for months. They'd let me plan a wedding that was never real. They'd watched me trust them and laughed behind my back. And what would happen if I confronted them? If I screamed and cried and threw his ring in his face? I'd be the victim. The poor, pathetic woman who got cheated on. The sad story people whisper about at parties. Did you hear about Olivia? Her fiancé was sleeping with her best friend. So tragic. No, I refused to be tragic. If there was going to be a tragedy in this story, it wasn't going to be mine. I woke up before Daniel the next morning. The sun was just coming up, casting golden light across our bedroom. The bedroom I'd decorated, in the apartment I'd found, in the life I'd built around us. I watched him sleep for a long moment. He looked peaceful, innocent almost. How many times had I watched him like this, feeling grateful that he was mine? The anger that bubbled up surprised me with its intensity. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw things. I wanted to grab his phone and shove those messages in his face and demand an explanation. But I didn't. Instead, I got up quietly, made coffee, and started planning. The first thing I did was call in sick to work. I told my boss I had a migraine, not entirely a lie, and spent the morning doing research. Daniel's finances, our shared accounts, the lease on our apartment, the wedding vendors, the prenuptial agreement we'd never quite finalized. I'd been so trusting, so naively, stupidly trusting, but not anymore. Over the next few days, I learned things about my fiancé that I'd never bothered to look into before. And what I found made me realize that the betrayal went deeper than I'd imagined. Daniel worked in commercial real estate, that much I knew. What I didn't know was that his company was being investigated for fraud. What I didn't know was that he was in debt. Serious debt. The kind of debt that explained why he'd pushed so hard for us to combine our finances before the wedding. I had a trust fund. My grandmother had left it to me when she passed, $350,000 that I'd barely touched. I'd always planned to use it for our future, a house, kids' college funds, security. Daniel knew about that money. He'd always known. And suddenly, a lot of things started making sense. The proposal had come just weeks after his company's problems began. The pressure to set a quick wedding date. The conversations about combining everything for convenience. I wasn't just being cheated on. I was being used. The rage that filled me in that moment was unlike anything I'd ever felt. It was cold, calculating, focused. If Daniel wanted to play games, fine. I would show him how the game was really played. The first rule of revenge: never let them see you coming. For the next 2 weeks, I was the perfect fiancé. I smiled, I laughed, I kissed Daniel goodbye every morning and welcomed him home every night. I discussed flower arrangements with his mother and finalized the menu with our caterer. I even had lunch with Melissa. That was the hardest part, sitting across from her, watching her laugh and talk about the wedding like she wasn't sleeping with my fiancé. She asked me if I was excited. She told me I was going to be the most beautiful bride. She held my hand and told me that Daniel was one of the good ones. I smiled and agreed, and I didn't let a single crack show. But beneath the surface, I was working. I quietly moved my trust fund to an account in my name only. I documented everything: the texts, the photos, the evidence of his affair. I made copies of his financial records, the ones that showed his debt and the investigation into his company. And then I made some calls. My college roommate, Sarah, worked at one of the biggest investment firms in the city. She'd always told me to reach out if I ever needed a job. I'd never taken her seriously. I was happy as a marketing manager at a mid-sized company. It was comfortable, safe. But comfortable and safe didn't fit who I was becoming. I met Sarah for coffee on a Tuesday, 2 weeks before the wedding. I told her everything. Not because I wanted sympathy, but because I needed help. I need to get out of this city, I said. I need a fresh start somewhere far away from here, and I need to do it quietly. Sarah stared at me for a long moment. Then she laughed, not at me, but with something like admiration. Olivia Chen, I always knew there was fire underneath all that sweetness, she said. As it happens, we're opening a new office. It's not here. It's not even on this coast. Where? San Francisco. San Francisco. 3,000 miles away. A whole new world. I'd have to move fast, I said. The wedding is in 2 weeks, and I need to be gone by then. Sarah raised an eyebrow. You're not going to confront him? Oh, I'll confront him, I said, but on my terms, when I'm ready, when I have nothing left to lose and everything in place. She leaned back in her chair, studying me. You're not just leaving him, are you? You're going to destroy him. I took a sip of my coffee. I'm going to make sure he never forgets what he lost. And Melissa, too. They wanted to humiliate me. They wanted to take everything from me. Let them live with the consequences of their choices. What exactly do you have in mind? I smiled, and I told her. 1 week before the wedding. The key to a perfect exit is timing. I needed everything to fall apart at exactly the right moment, not too early, not too late. I needed Daniel to be blindsided, humiliated, exposed. And I needed it to happen in front of everyone who mattered. But first, I had one more person to visit. Daniel's mother, Patricia, had never liked me. Oh, she pretended to. All those family dinners and wedding discussions. But I'd always felt her judgment underneath the surface smiles. I wasn't good enough for her golden boy. My family wasn't wealthy enough, connected enough, pedigreed enough. But Patricia had one weakness: her reputation. The Matthews family was old money, and appearances meant everything. Which is why, when I showed up at her home with a folder full of documents, she went very, very pale. "What is this?" she asked, staring at the papers I'd spread across her kitchen table. "Evidence," I said calmly, "of your son's affair with my maid of honor. There are texts, photos, hotel receipts. It's been going on for months." Patricia's face cycled through several emotions: shock, anger, denial, and finally, a cold calculation that I recognized because I developed it myself. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because I want you to know who your son really is," I said, "and because I'm giving you a choice." "A choice?" "The wedding is in 7 days. Your 300 guests are flying in from all over the country. You've spent, what, $100,000 on this event? More?" Her jaw tightened. "The Matthews family pays for their children's weddings. It's tradition." "Right, tradition." I let the word hang in the air. "So here's the choice. You can tell Daniel to confess to me, call off the wedding privately, and return my grandmother's ring. Or I can stand up at the altar in front of every person you've ever wanted to impress and read these messages out loud." The silence that followed was deafening. "You wouldn't dare," Patricia whispered. "Try me." I leaned forward. "Your son is about to be investigated for fraud at his company. He's in debt up to his eyeballs. And now I have proof that he's been cheating on his fiancé with her best friend. If even half of this gets out in your social circles..." I didn't need to finish. She understood. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I want out. Clean and simple. No fights about deposits or shared expenses. I want my ring back. It was my grandmother's, and Daniel had it reset without telling me. And I want both of them to know that I know everything." Patricia was quiet for a long moment. Then, to my surprise, she nodded slowly. "I'll talk to him," she said. "But not because you're threatening me. Because my son has disappointed me for the last time, and this is beyond anything I can ignore." I gathered my documents and stood to leave. At the door, I paused. "One more thing," I said. "I'm leaving the city, starting over somewhere new, and I'd appreciate it if you kept my whereabouts to yourself." Patricia looked at me with something new in her eyes. Not warmth exactly, but respect. "You're smarter than I gave you credit for, Olivia." "Yes," I said. "I am." Daniel came home that night looking like he'd seen a ghost. His mother had clearly delivered the message. He found me in the living room surrounded by boxes. I'd already started packing. "Olivia?" His voice cracked. My mom called. She told me, she said about Melissa, about everything. I didn't look up from the box I was filling with books. Yes. Baby, please. He moved toward me and I held up a hand to stop him. Don't baby me. Don't come near me. Don't touch me. Just let me explain. Explain what, Daniel? Now I looked at him, and I let him see all the fury I'd been hiding for weeks. Explain why you've been sleeping with my best friend for 4 months? Explain why you were going to marry me anyway, knowing you were in love with someone else. Explain why you needed access to my trust fund so badly. His face went white. Don't lie to me. I've seen your finances. I know about the investigation, the debt, all of it. I was your backup plan, your safety net. You were never going to leave Melissa. You were going to have both of us, the mistress and the meal ticket. That's not true. He reached for me again, and this time I stepped back so sharply he froze. Olivia, I love you. What happened with Melissa, it was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. 4 months of hotel rooms and I love you text didn't mean anything? He had no answer for that. I picked up my box and walked toward the door, where a stack of others waited to be loaded into my car. Olivia, wait, please. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. I'll end things with Melissa. I'll never speak to her again. Just don't leave like this. Don't throw away everything we've built. I turned to face him one last time. Everything we've built? I repeated softly. Daniel, you burned it all down the first time you kissed her. I'm just walking away from the ashes. I opened the door. My car was packed. My new life was waiting. You'll regret this, he said, and there was a desperation in his voice that might have moved me once. You'll realize you made a mistake, and when you come back, I'm not coming back, I said. And Daniel, neither is the life you thought you were going to have. Your mother knows everything. The other partners at your firm will know by the end of the week. And Melissa? Well, I'm sure you two will be very happy together, at least until she realizes you have nothing left to offer. I walked out and didn't look back. San Francisco was supposed to be my blank slate, a fresh start, a place where nobody knew my name or my story. And for the first few months, that's exactly what it was. I threw myself into work. Sarah had gotten me a position as a junior account manager at the investment firm, a step down from my old job, but I didn't care. I needed to prove myself. I needed to rebuild from nothing. I rented a tiny apartment in the Mission District, barely bigger than a walk-in closet. I worked 12-hour days. I went running every morning as the sun came up, pushing myself until my lungs burned and my legs ached and I couldn't think about anything but putting one foot in front of the other. The anger didn't fade. If anything, it intensified. I channeled it into everything I did. Every presentation, every client call, every late night at the office. And slowly, I started to rise. Within 6 months, I'd been promoted. Within a year, I was managing my own team. I was known as the woman who never stopped, who never failed, who never let anything get in her way. But beneath the success, I was hollow. I hadn't dated. I hadn't let anyone get close. I'd built walls so high that even I couldn't see over them. And then I met Marcus. It was an ordinary Tuesday when everything changed. We were pitching to a new client, a real estate development company that wanted to expand into sustainable housing. It was a big account, the kind that could make careers, and I was leading the presentation. The conference room was full of suits, gray-haired men who'd seen it all, young MBAs trying to prove themselves, and at the center of it all, the CEO of the development company, Marcus Webb. He was not what I expected. Most CEOs I'd worked with were exactly the type you'd imagine: older, arrogant, convinced of their own brilliance. Marcus was maybe 35, with warm brown eyes and an easy smile that seemed genuine rather than calculated. He listened more than he talked, and when he did speak, it was thoughtful, intelligent, curious. I hated myself for noticing how attractive he was. The presentation went well. We got the account, and afterward, as people filed out of the conference room, Marcus approached me. "That was impressive," he said. "You really understand what we're trying to build." "I did my research," I said, keeping my voice professional. "Sustainable housing isn't just good for the environment, it's good business. Lower long-term costs, higher tenant satisfaction, better community relations. The numbers don't lie." He smiled. "No, they don't. But not everyone thinks about it that way. They see green building and think, expensive gimmick. You see it as the future." "It is the future." "I agree." He paused, studying me with an intensity that made me want to look away. "Have dinner with me." The request caught me off guard. "That's not really appropriate. You're a client." "Not as a client," he said. "As someone who'd like to get to know the woman behind the numbers." I should have said no. Every instinct I'd developed over the past year screamed at me to keep my distance, to protect myself, to never let anyone that close again. But something about the way he looked at me, like he could see through all my defenses, made me hesitate. "One dinner," I heard myself say. "That's all." He smiled. "One dinner. I'll take it." We went to a small Italian restaurant in North Beach, the kind of place with checkered tablecloths and candles and wine bottles. Nothing fancy, nothing performative. "So," Marcus said after we'd ordered, "tell me about yourself. And not the work stuff. I've seen your resume. I want to know about you." "There's not much to tell," I said, deflecting. "Moved here from the East Coast about a year ago, married to my job. That's about it." "Why did you move?" The question hit closer to home than I'd expected. I took a sip of wine, buying time. "Fresh start," I finally said. "I needed to get away from some things." "Bad relationship?" I looked at him sharply. "Why do you assume it was a relationship?" "Because I've seen that look before," he said gently. "In the mirror, after my divorce." That surprised me. "You were married?" "For 3 years, to a woman I'd known since college. I thought we wanted the same things. Turns out we wanted completely different lives. She wanted someone who'd be home for dinner every night. I was building a company from nothing. Something had to give." "That's not exactly the same as what happened to me." "No?" He leaned forward. "So what happened to you?" I don't know why I told him. Maybe it was the wine. Maybe it was the way he listened without judgment. Maybe I was just tired of carrying the story alone. "I was engaged," I said, "to a man I'd been with for 4 years. 3 weeks before the wedding, I found out he was having an affair with my best friend. Had been for months." Marcus's expression shifted. Not pity. I would have shut down if I'd seen pity. It was something more like understanding. "What did you do?" "I left. Made sure he knew exactly why. Made sure everyone knew exactly why. And then I came here and started over. Just like that. Just like that. He was quiet for a moment. That takes courage. A lot of people would have stayed, would have tried to fix something that was already broken. I thought about it, I admitted, for about 5 minutes, and then I realized, why should I be the one who loses everything? Why should I be the one picking up the pieces while they ride off into the sunset? If anyone was going to have a happy ending, it was going to be me. A slow smile spread across Marcus's face. I think I'm starting to understand you, Olivia Chen. Understand what? Why you're so good at your job. Why you work harder than anyone I've ever met. You're not just building a career. You're building a whole new life on the ashes of the old one. I didn't know how to respond to that, because he was right. Is that a bad thing? I asked. No, he said. It's actually pretty inspiring. Just don't forget to live while you're doing it. After that first dinner, I tried to keep my distance. Marcus was a client. Getting involved would be unprofessional. It would complicate everything. But he was patient. He didn't push. He just showed up. He'd stop by the office with coffee. He'd send me articles he thought I'd find interesting. He'd invite me to networking events and let me say no without making me feel guilty. Slowly, despite all my defenses, he wore me down. We started having dinner once a week, then twice. We took walks through Golden Gate Park on Sunday afternoons. He told me about his childhood in Oakland, about his mother who'd worked 2 jobs to put him through college, about his dream of building affordable housing for people like the ones he'd grown up with. And I found myself telling him things I'd never told anyone, about my fears, my regrets, the anger that still burned inside me even after all this time. Do you ever think about reaching out to them? He asked one evening. We were sitting on the steps of his apartment watching the city lights flicker to life. Your ex, your former friend. No, I said. What would be the point? Closure, maybe. Or just letting go of the anger. I laughed bitterly. The anger is what keeps me going. It's what pushed me to rebuild, to become someone better than I was before. That's not the anger, Marcus said softly. That's you. The anger just made you realize what you were capable of, but at some point you have to put it down. Otherwise, it'll consume you. Easy for you to say. Your marriage ended because of different priorities. Mine ended because I was betrayed by the 2 people I trusted most. You're right. It's not the same. He reached over and took my hand. But I know what it's like to carry something heavy for too long. And I see you, Olivia. I see how hard you work, how much you've accomplished. But I also see how lonely you are, how scared you are to let anyone in. Tears pricked at my eyes. I tried to pull my hand away, but he held on gently. I'm not asking you to forget what happened, he said. I'm asking you to consider the possibility that your story doesn't have to end with revenge. Maybe there's something better waiting for you, something you'll miss if you keep looking backward. That night, after he walked me home, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything he'd said. Was he right? Had I let my anger define me? Was I so focused on making sure Daniel and Melissa paid for what they'd done that I'd forgotten how to actually live? For the first time since I discovered those messages, I let myself cry. Not for what I'd lost, but for the person I might become if I never let it go. 3 months into my relationship with Marcus, everything was perfect. Too perfect. I should have known something was wrong. It started with a name. I was at Marcus's apartment looking for a phone charger when I stumbled across a stack of old photographs in his desk drawer. Mostly family pictures. Marcus as a kid, his mother at his college graduation, that kind of thing. But one photo caught my eye. Marcus, maybe 10 years younger, standing with another man at what looked like a business conference. They were shaking hands, grinning at the camera. The other man was Daniel Matthews. My heart stopped. No, this couldn't be right. This had to be a coincidence. The world wasn't that small, that cruel. Olivia, you okay? Marcus's voice behind me made me jump. I turned, the photograph clutched in my trembling hand. Who is this? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. This man in the photo with you. Marcus's expression shifted. He saw which picture I was holding, and something flickered in his eyes. Guilt? Fear? I couldn't tell. That's Daniel Matthews, he said slowly. An old business associate. Associate? The word came out sharper than I intended. What kind of associate? We worked together years ago, back when I was just starting out in real estate development. He helped fund some of my early projects. The room started to spin. Daniel, my Daniel, had been involved in Marcus's business. When did you find out? I asked. About me and Daniel. When did you realize? Marcus sighed heavily. Olivia. When? Before we met, he admitted. I knew who you were before that meeting, before the presentation. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. You knew. This whole time you knew. And you never told me? I wanted to. I tried to find the right moment. There is no right moment for this. I was shaking now. You pursued me, Marcus. You showed up at my office, asked me to dinner, made me feel. Do you ever think about reaching out to them? He asked one evening. We were sitting on the steps of his apartment, watching the city lights flicker to life. Your ex, your former friend. No, I said. What would be the point? Closure, maybe. Or just letting go of the anger. I laughed bitterly. The anger is what keeps me going. It's what pushed me to rebuild, to become someone better than I was before. That's not the anger, Marcus said softly. That's you. The anger just made you realize what you were capable of. But at some point, you have to put it down. Otherwise, it'll consume you. Easy for you to say. Your marriage ended because of different priorities. Mine ended because I was betrayed by the two people I trusted most. You're right. It's not the same. He reached over and took my hand. But I know what it's like to carry something heavy for too long. And I see you, Olivia. I see how hard you work, how much you've accomplished. But I also see how lonely you are, how scared you are to let anyone in. Tears pricked at my eyes. I tried to pull my hand away, but he held on gently. I'm not asking you to forget what happened, he said. I'm asking you to consider the possibility that your story doesn't have to end with revenge. Maybe there's something better waiting for you, something you'll miss if you keep looking backward. That night, after he walked me home, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything he'd said. Was he right? Had I let my anger define me? Was I so focused on making sure Daniel and Melissa paid for what they'd done that I'd forgotten how to actually live? For the first time since I'd discovered those messages, I let myself cry. Not for what I'd lost, but for the person I might become if I never let it go. 3 months into my relationship with Marcus, everything was perfect. Too perfect. I should have known something was wrong. It started with a name. I was at Marcus's apartment, looking for a phone charger, when I stumbled across a stack of old photographs in his desk drawer. Mostly family pictures. Marcus as a kid, his mother at his college graduation, that kind of thing. But one photo caught my eye. Marcus, maybe 10 years younger, standing with another man at what looked like a business conference. They were shaking hands, grinning at the camera. The other man was Daniel Matthews. My heart stopped. No, this couldn't be right. This had to be a coincidence. The world wasn't that small, that cruel. Olivia, you okay? Marcus's voice behind me made me jump. I turned, the photograph clutched in my trembling hand. Who is this? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. This man in the photo with you. Marcus's expression shifted. He saw which picture I was holding, and something flickered in his eyes. Guilt? Fear? I couldn't tell. That's Daniel Matthews, he said slowly. An old business associate. Associate? The word came out sharper than I intended. What kind of associate? We worked together years ago, back when I was just starting out in real estate development. He helped fund some of my early projects. The room started to spin. Daniel, my Daniel, had been involved in Marcus's business. When did you find out? I asked. About me and Daniel. When did you realize? Marcus sighed heavily. Olivia. When? Before we met, he admitted. I knew who you were before that meeting, before the presentation. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. You knew. This whole time, you knew. And you never told me? I wanted to. I tried to find the right moment. There is no right moment for this. I was shaking now. You pursued me, Marcus. You showed up at my office, asked me to dinner, made me think, made me feel. I couldn't finish the sentence. Couldn't say out loud what I'd been starting to feel for him. Please, let me explain, Marcus said. It's not what you think. Then what is it? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like some kind of sick game. Did Daniel send you? Is this his idea of revenge? No. Marcus stepped toward me, then stopped when he saw me flinch. Daniel doesn't know anything about this. He doesn't even know we've met. I swear to you, Olivia, what's between us is real. I never meant to hurt you. Then why didn't you tell me? He ran a hand through his hair, frustration and guilt warring on his face. Because by the time I realized what was happening between us, I didn't know how. I was scared that if I told you, I'd lose you. And I didn't want to lose you. So you decided to lie instead? To let me fall for you without knowing that you had a connection to the man who destroyed my life. It wasn't a lie. It was an omission. And I know that's not better, but you're right. It's not better. I grabbed my bag, headed for the door. I can't do this. I can't be with someone who keeps secrets from me. I've already been down that road, Marcus, and I refuse to go through it again. Olivia, please. But I was already gone. For 3 days, I didn't leave my apartment. I called in sick to work, something I never did, and spent hours staring at the walls, trying to make sense of what had happened. Had Marcus been playing me from the beginning? Was this all some elaborate scheme orchestrated by Daniel? Had the past year of my life been a lie, just like the 4 years before it? But then, why would Daniel do that? What would he gain? I thought about everything Marcus had told me. The early funding from Daniel, the old business connection. He'd said Daniel didn't know we'd met, that this had nothing to do with revenge. But could I believe him? On the 4th day, my phone rang. Not Marcus, I'd been ignoring his calls, but Sarah. "Okay, enough," she said without preamble. "I'm coming over. You need to talk and you need to eat something." An hour later, she was sitting on my couch, watching me pace the floor as I told her everything. "So let me get this straight," she said when I'd finished. "Marcus knew Daniel. He didn't tell you. And now you think he's been secretly working with your ex this whole time?" I don't know what to think. "Olivia," Sarah's voice was gentle, "have you considered the possibility that Marcus is telling the truth? That he made a mistake by not telling you, but his feelings are real?" How can I believe that? How can I trust anyone after what Daniel did? That's the question, isn't it? Sarah leaned forward. "Look, I've met Marcus. I've seen the way he looks at you. I've seen the way you look when you talk about him. That's not a man running a con. That's a man who's genuinely in love with you." "In love?" I laughed bitterly. "He doesn't love me. He doesn't even know me." "Doesn't he? He knows about Daniel. He knows about Melissa. He's seen you at your most guarded and he's stayed anyway. He's been patient with your walls, respectful of your boundaries. Does that sound like someone with ulterior motives?" I didn't have an answer. "I'm not saying what he did was right," Sarah continued. "He should have told you about Daniel from the beginning. But people make mistakes. The question is whether you're going to let one mistake destroy something that might actually be good for you. It's not that simple." "No," she agreed. "It's not. But you know what I think? I think you're scared. Not of Marcus, of yourself. You're scared of being hurt again. And you're using this as an excuse to push him away before he can hurt you." Her words hit uncomfortably close to home. "When did you become a therapist?" I muttered. "I'm not, but I am your friend. And as your friend, I'm telling you, don't let the past destroy your future. At least talk to him, hear him out, and then make a decision based on what he says, not what you're afraid of." I called Marcus the next morning. He answered on the first ring. "Olivia, I didn't think you'd call." "Neither did I admitted. "But we need to talk, really talk. No more omissions." "Anything," he said. "Ask me anything." "Tell me everything about Daniel. How you met, what he was like, why you stopped working together." There was a pause. Then Marcus sighed. "We met about 8 years ago at a real estate conference. I was young, hungry, looking for investors. Daniel was already established, or so it seemed. He had money, connections, a way of making you feel like you were part of something special. I knew that feeling. That was exactly how Daniel had made me feel. He invested in my first 2 projects. They were small, a condo development, a mixed-use building. He took a big cut of the profits, but I was too naive to realize I was being taken advantage of. I was just grateful someone believed in me. What happened? The third project is what happened. It was bigger, an affordable housing complex that was supposed to be my signature project. Daniel was supposed to provide the funding, but at the last minute, he pulled out. Said the numbers didn't work, but I knew the real reason. He'd found a more profitable opportunity elsewhere and decided to leave me hanging. So he screwed you over. Completely. I almost went bankrupt. Had to sell everything, start from scratch. It took me years to recover. Marcus's voice was bitter. Daniel Matthews built his fortune by exploiting people like me. Young, ambitious, desperate. He'd take their ideas, drain their resources, and move on to the next victim. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because when I first met you, I didn't know you were that Olivia. I knew Daniel had been engaged to someone, but I didn't know the details of how it ended. And by the time I realized you were the woman he'd betrayed, I was already falling for you. My heart clenched. I didn't pursue you because of Daniel, Marcus continued. I pursued you because I couldn't stop thinking about you. You were brilliant and fierce, and unlike anyone I'd ever met. And yes, when I found out about your connection to him, I should have told you immediately. I was a coward. I was afraid of exactly this, afraid that you'd think it was all a game. Can you blame me? No, I can't. His voice was raw. But I'm asking you to believe me anyway. I'm asking you to trust that what we have is real, even though I know trusting anyone is the hardest thing I could ask of you. I was crying. I didn't even realize it until I felt the tears on my cheeks. How do I know you're not lying? You don't, he said honestly. You can't know for sure. You just have to decide whether you're willing to take the chance, whether the possibility of something real is worth the risk of being wrong. 3 weeks after that conversation, I made 2 decisions. The first was to give Marcus another chance. Not blindly, I wasn't that naive anymore, but carefully, slowly, with my eyes open and my guard up. The second was to face Daniel one last time, not for closure, not for revenge, but because there was something I needed to know. I flew back to the East Coast on a Friday morning. I didn't tell Marcus where I was going. I needed to do this alone. Daniel agreed to meet me at a coffee shop near his old office. When I walked in, I barely recognized him. He'd aged 10 years in the past 18 months. His hair was thinner, his face was gaunt, and there was a weariness in his eyes that hadn't been there before. Olivia. He stood when he saw me, uncertain. You look good. I am good, I said, sitting across from him. Better than I've been in years. I'm glad. He sat back down, fidgeting with his coffee cup. I wasn't sure you'd want to see me after everything. I wasn't sure either, but I need to ask you something. Anything. I leaned forward. Was any of it real? The 4 years we were together, was any of it genuine, or was it all about the money from the beginning? Daniel's face crumpled. For a moment, he looked like he might cry. It was real, he said. In the beginning, I loved you, Olivia. I still do, in a way. But I'm not the person you thought I was. I never was. What does that mean? He was quiet for a long moment. Then, slowly, he started to talk. He told me about his family's expectations, the pressure to maintain their reputation, to succeed at any cost. He told me about the debts he'd accumulated trying to live up to an impossible standard. He told me about the investigation into his company, which had ended in a settlement that wiped out most of his assets. And he told me about Melissa. It wasn't about her, he said. Not really. She was just there. She made me feel like I was still in control of something when everything else was falling apart. I know that doesn't excuse it. I know I destroyed your trust, your friendship with her, everything. But I need you to understand, it was never because you weren't enough. Then why? Because I wasn't enough. I was drowning, and I was too proud to ask for help. So I made the worst possible choices, and I lost the best thing that ever happened to me. I sat with that for a moment. Then I asked the question I'd really come to ask. What happened with Melissa after I left? Daniel laughed bitterly. We tried to make it work for about 3 months. But once the novelty wore off, there was nothing there. We'd built our whole relationship on lies and sneaking around. When there was nothing left to hide, we realized we didn't actually like each other very much. She left you? I left her. And then she went back to her husband. Did you know she was married? I didn't until it all fell apart. Turns out, I wasn't the only one keeping secrets. I should have felt satisfaction. This was everything I'd want. Marcus smiled. That sounds like something a very wise woman might say. A very tired woman, I corrected, who spent too long letting anger drive her decisions. He pulled me into a hug, right there in the middle of the airport, and I let myself sink into it. Let myself feel safe for the first time in longer than I could remember. I love you, he said into my hair. I know you might not be ready to hear that, but I need you to know it anyway. I pulled back, looked into his eyes, those warm brown eyes that I'd fallen in love with despite my best efforts to keep him out. I love you too, I said, and I'm terrified, but I'm choosing to trust you anyway. That was 2 years ago. Today, I'm sitting on the balcony of the home Marcus and I share, watching the fog roll in over the bay. There's a ring on my finger, not the one Daniel gave me, which I sold a long time ago, but a simple gold band that Marcus designed himself. We got married last spring in a small ceremony with just our closest friends. No 300 guests, no elaborate venues, just the two of us, promising to be honest, to be kind, to choose each other every single day. I still talk to Sarah. She was my maid of honor, and she cried harder than I did at the ceremony. I've made new friends here, built a life that's entirely my own. And Daniel? I heard he moved to Florida, started working for his father's company after his own fell apart. I don't know if he's happy. I don't really care. The anger is gone. Not forgotten. I don't think you ever completely forget a betrayal that deep, but healed, like a scar that's faded to the point where you almost don't see it anymore. Sometimes, late at night, Marcus asks me if I have any regrets, about how things ended, about the person I became in those months after I discovered the truth. And I always tell him the same thing. I regret trusting Daniel. I regret not seeing the signs earlier. I regret the time I wasted being angry when I could have been healing. But I don't regret leaving. I don't regret choosing myself. And I definitely don't regret finding my way to a life and a love that I never could have imagined. The revenge I'd originally planned, the elaborate schemes to destroy Daniel and Melissa, to humiliate them in front of everyone they knew, to make them suffer the way they'd made me suffer, I never followed through. By the time I had the chance, I'd realized something important. Revenge might feel satisfying in the moment, but it chains you to the past. It keeps you focused on the people who hurt you instead of the people who love you. In the end, the sweetest revenge wasn't revenge at all. It was simply this: happiness, peace, a love that's built on honesty, even when honesty is hard. If you're listening to this story and you've been hurt, if you're carrying anger and pain and a burning desire to make someone pay, I understand. I've been exactly where you are, but I'm asking you to consider something. What if you channeled that energy into yourself instead? What if you focused on healing, on growing, on becoming the person you were always meant to be? What if the best way to prove them wrong isn't to destroy them, but to live so well that they become nothing more than a footnote in your story? That's what I did. And sitting here today, watching the sunset with the man I love, I know it was the right choice. Some people say that living well is the best revenge, but I think it's more than that. Living well is the only revenge that actually matters, the only one that doesn't leave you just as broken as the people who hurt you. I'm Olivia Chen Webb now. I'm happy, I'm whole, and I'm finally, blessedly, free. And that's where our story ends. Not with destruction, but with healing. Not with revenge, but with renewal. If this story touched your heart, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted? How did you find your way through? What would you have done differently? Remember to subscribe if you want more stories like this one. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. And until next time, take care of your hearts. They're more resilient than you know.